Most people think bigger is better when it comes to growing mother plants, but I'm actually doing the opposite. In this video, I'll reveal the reason behind that, and also we'll go over various tips on growing mother plants, such as lighting strategy, environment, nutrition, and so much more. Let's get into it. So why keep a mother plant in the first place? Well, there's a couple different reasons why somebody would want to. For me, genetic preservation. So this one right here is Chillow OG F4 generation. I went through and hunted the F4s and found a keeper pheno. Shout out to Bill. He's a local here that also grows Chillow OG. He actually found this one and I was like, man, this is it. This is what I want. And so I got a cut from him, grew it up to where it is today. And I actually took off a couple cuts, and I have another tent here which has two different plants growing. And so what I'm trying to do personally is to reverse one of the plants and then pollinate the other plant. And what will come from that is feminized seed. So a lot of people have been asking me for a feminized version of Chillow OG. Hopefully it's coming. Fingers crossed that the reversal process actually worked. It doesn't always work. In my experience, has been not 100% success rate. So fingers crossed that it works this time. If it doesn't work, well, I've got this mother plant here where I can just take two more cuts off of, and then I'll be able to start over again. So also I keep mother plant here so I can gift people locally. I'm allowed to do that legally in my state is gift. And so if anybody wants a cut, it's local, hit me up, let me know. If you want to cut a Chillow OG, press that like button. Try to get as many likes as possible. That helps the YouTube algorithm. But for this particular mother plant, I'm growing it a little bit differently than other people would want to grow it. Think of mother plants as being these large plants, massive plants in big containers. And you can see here that it's in a smaller container. It's actually only in a 2-gallon grow pot. This is probably about maybe 2 feet tall. So it's actually pretty small compared to some other size mother plants that people grow them to. I don't need a large mother plant, right? I'm not trying to get hundreds of clones off of this plant. Actually, this is pretty big compared to what I usually grow for mother plants. I've grown mother plants several times in the past and as small as a 1-gallon container. And it's kind of funny thinking back years ago, this one particular mother plant that was in a 1-gallon container and had it in there for so long that its roots were kind of just root bound on it. And unfortunately, the plant was showing signs of deficiencies. There was a lack of nutrient uptake. So one of the things you read online is root pruning or cutting back the roots. If I can find the clip, I'll play it right now. It's something I learned off of Grow Weed Easy website, which is basically to take a knife and cut off all the roots and then put soil back in the container and then put the plant in there. I did try it. It did work. Unfortunately, that really did some severe damage to the plant. It really suffered for a period of several weeks, but eventually it did bounce back and become a healthy plant again. Will I ever do that technique again? No, absolutely not. I'll continue growing a little bit larger of a container now with the 2-gallon. I'm never gonna do any sort of root pruning before. What I would do is if I'm growing this that long and it does start to see deficiencies and stuff like that, well, I'll just take a cut and then use that cut and grow that out into be a mother plant. Now this one is grown a little bit differently compared to how some other would grow as far as the watering. So this is on a wick system. It's on the Autopot system, tray to grow. And if you look down closely, you can see that there are a ton of roots coming out from the bottom of the pot onto the tray. Anybody who grows with Autopot, you might have seen this happen yourself, but I don't know how much like the nutrient uptake is going to be inhibited because the roots are coming out here. So it's not like they're just circling around in the container, and there could be an issue with that. They're actually coming out of the container. So I'll be interested to see how long this thing will last before it starts to show deficiencies there. So actually I recorded that whole video and forgot to talk about nutrition. So I want to talk about that. But first I want to expand on the algae situation because I have a feeling there's going to be a few of you that comment in the comment section with concerns about that algae situation. So looking back at that footage, it does appear that that algae situation is pretty bad, but in my experience, whenever I have algae, I get it from time to time, it ends up really not being a big deal. I used to worry about algae a lot actually. When I saw the slightest bit of green, a little bit of algae forming, I used to somewhat panic back in the day. But there is a great resource out there called Teaming with Microbes by Jeff Lowenfels, which really opened up my eyes to algae. I actually have that book here and I wanted to read a few sentences because it might open up your eyes like it did to mine. This is on page 75. One of the things towards the bottom, it says, the cell walls of diatoms are composed of silica covered with an organic skin that decays and disappears after the organism dies, leaving behind, in huge numbers, the silica skeletons that make up diatomaceous earth. A product familiar to many gardeners. And as I'm sure a lot of you are aware, silica is actually beneficial for cannabis. So is algae really a bad thing, or will those break down into silica and actually be useful to the plant in the future? That's a topic that I'm sure people are still going to debate about, so let me know in the comments. Now, another thing you may have seen in the footage is purple stems. There's some streaking going on, and on the petioles it's real purple. Now oftentimes this is due to low temperature, like when the lights go off and the temperatures drop. I see a lot of purple streaking happening in the plants that I grow. But this particular purple stem situation I really feel could be a lack of nutrition. Now unfortunately, a few days before filming, the reservoir went dry and the plant spent about 24 hours without access to nutrients. There was a dryback that happened. And then I saw the purpling happen from there. I of course corrected the issue, filled up the reservoir, and gave a half dose of nutrients according to the feeding chart. Since then the plant has bounced back and some of that purpling has gone away. But yes, there was a hiccup when it comes to feeding, that is for sure. Now in regards to feeding, get a little bit deeper into this. This plant is being fed Athena nutrients, the blended line without fade. And I know a lot of people run this at 100% according to the feeding chart, but I'm doing a reduced dose. I'm doing about a half dose, and that's actually been working out pretty good, especially since there has been a little bit lower of light levels, a little bit lower of temperature compared to how I normally run. Not much of a difference, but there's been a little bit. And so reducing the amount of nutrients for mother plants, that's what a lot of people do, especially if they're not running high lighting, high temperature. You can reduce the amount of nutrients because the plant is running at a slower rate. So I just want to mention that one. Yes, there has been some hiccups. I really feel like showing these things to you guys can be more helpful than harmful. Well, maybe it might be harmful for me because some people might make fun of me for having problems, but I really feel like if I show you guys that mistakes happen, nobody's perfect. None of us out here are perfect. There's some content creators that claim to be perfect. All they do is show good plants and they pretend like they don't have any mistakes, but they really do. I like to show my mistakes and then hopefully somebody will learn from them. So I'm not gonna play it off like nothing happened, nothing's wrong, when there actually is a problem, clearly. All right, environment, let's cover that next. So this is something that's actually pretty similar to a regular plant. So I like to do the veg 0.8 kPa is what I'm typically doing if this was a smaller plant, up to 1.0 kPa, and just kind of stay steady at that point the entire time. Now this isn't going into flower at all, so I'm not reducing, or I guess increasing that kPa to where it'd be a higher number, which is more drier in the space, just keeping around 1.0 kPa. Now, as far as temperature, this is something that's pretty similar to a typical plant. I've been anywhere between 78 and 82 degrees Fahrenheit, but I know a lot of people will actually reduce the temperature because they don't need as fast of growth rate. We know lighting is a major driver of growth rate. Temperature is also a driver of growth rate as well. So if you're lowering that temp, you can slow things down a little bit. And yeah, again, you don't need these mother plants to grow super vigorously. Well, maybe you do, but not everybody and a lot of people don't. So lowering that temperature, lowering that lighting, these are techniques that people do in order to kind of slow down growth rates so things just don't grow out of control. Let's talk about pruning and training next. Now, this plant looks pretty similar to a normal plant. I do like to strip off the bottom part here, kind of lollipop it up. I don't like the branches or leaves to be on the soil at all, so I do strip out those bottoms. But I do like to try to maintain an even canopy. That's not super important, but I don't really like having, one or several long branches up here, so I will top them and either use them as clones or just toss them in my compost pile. I do like to get in here and kind of take off some of these larger fan leaves in the middle if I feel like airflow is restricted. So I've got a couple oscillating fans in here, one towards the lower part of the plant, one up towards the top part of the plant. If I feel like airflow is restricted through the canopy, I will take off leaves. One of the reasons why is because I don't want to have any sort of humid spots in there that's going to result in powdery mildew. So high humid environments with a lack of airflow, that's the recipe for powdery mildew. I don't want that at all, of course. So just taking off mostly the larger fan leaves in the middle there, just making sure air can get through the canopy, both on the top part of the plant and as well as through the bottom part of the plant. So pretty straightforward on that avenue. So how long can a mother plant live for? Well, some people have mother plants growing for 10, 20, plus years. And I'd love to know in the comment section below, how long have you had a mother plant growing? Have you had it growing for 10, 20 plus years? Now I know there's some people who say that you shouldn't have them growing that long. You should take a cut and then actually continue on growing that way. But there are some people who debate against that. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. My plans for this one is to just keep it growing for the meantime. Like I said, I'm working on a project where I'm doing a reversal and then trying to create feminized seeds. So I'm gonna hold on to this plant for a little while longer, make sure that reversal process is successful. If it's not successful, well, I can just cut clones off of here and then try the reversal process again and just keep this mother plant going until I'm successful in that process. I'm also doing a little cloning experiment, putting into a germination station, and hope to have that content for you soon. That should be a fun experiment. If you tuned in this long, one thing I want to mention is please sign up to my email list. This is something that I'm trying to build. You don't want to rely on social media as far as communication. So anytime I have specific releases happening, that's where I'm going to announce it first. So definitely sign up to email list. I'll have a link to that in the description section below. Also want to give a shout out to AC Infinity. Thank you so much for sponsoring this episode. They hook up my viewers with a discount code. You can use code MrGrowIt15. That works on both their website as well as Amazon. I'll put the QR code right here on the screen right now, and also a link in the description section below. That's pretty much it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in this week, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace out.